so I am happy to help. That is what friends say to each other, right?
Yes, it is.
Hey everyone, I'm Rebecca and welcome to MsMojo. Today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 friendship moments on Schitt's Creek.
So we'd like you to say hello to Roland, Moira, Schitt.
I think you're my best friend.
You think?
Hey, I don't mean to tell you how to spend your money, but maybe you could use some of it to come visit me.
I'd like that.
For this list, we're looking at instances where the residents of Schitt's Creek were synonymous with friendship goals. What's your favorite Schitt's Creek friendship moment? Be sure to let us know in the comments. All right, let's get into it. Number 10, Alexis and Twyla say goodbye. Upon arriving in Schitt's Creek, Alexis frequently advertises her former rich girl lifestyle. In direct contrast, the humble Twyla neglects to mention that she's a millionaire. Until the penultimate episode, that is.
Yeah, no, I split the $92 million with another guy.
As Alexis prepares to leave for New York, we see how these two have helped each other grow over the years.
Every now and again, spending like a little bit of money on something really special. It might not buy you happiness, but it can definitely help make you smile.
No longer viewing herself as the center of the universe, Alexis gives Twyla some of her designer dresses and graciously turns down a generous handout. Twyla, who constantly thinks of others, is inspired by Alexis to spend her money on something special for herself.
I bought the cafe.
Through their friendship, Alexis learns the value of selflessness, while Twyla learns the value of a smile.
Hey, I don't mean to tell you how to spend your money, but maybe you could use some of it to come visit me.
I'd like that.
It's a touching farewell shared between Dan Levy's on-screen sister and his real-life one.
Cute dress.
Thanks. My friend gave it to me.
Number 9, David and Ted talk about heartbreak. There aren't a ton of scenes where David and Ted interact one-on-one, but that's not the only reason this conversation stands out. Dropping off some dog sweaters, David finds himself in the middle of someone else's personal affairs when he finds Ted mulling over Alexis's I love you bombshell.
She told you, didn't she?
Yes, she told me, yeah.
It just caught me off guard, you know. I love you. I don't...
Yes. No, that is an emotional depth that is very, very out of character for her.
Ted has a bombshell of his own, confiding in David that he's newly single.
I broke up with Heather.
So I should probably stay then for a minute.
While still visibly uncomfortable by the situation, David tells Ted just how much he means to Alexis.
I know that she is different now. I mean, not that different, obviously, but different enough to know that she made a mistake with you.
The two find common ground in heartbreak, but David encourages Ted not to let true love slip through his fingers.
And even though everything inside us is telling us to protect ourselves, when you've got it, don't let it go.
Both benefit from this heart-to-heart, as Ted is motivated to declare his feelings for Alexis, while David is reminded never to let go of what he has.
I love you.
Number 8, Patrick and Stevie lovingly make fun of David.
And I compromise all the time. What?
Nothing. I just remembering all those times that you compromised.
I was just thinking about the same things because there's so many to flip through.
Okay.
It's important for your BFF to get along with your significant other, even if it leaves your ego a little damaged. Patrick and Stevie don't have a lot in common outside of the fact that they both love David. They also know David's eccentricities inside and out, which ultimately brings them together in this episode. Unpleased with the slight changes Patrick has made at Rose Apothecary, David claims that he is capable of compromise. Unable to contain their laughter, Patrick and Stevie test David's patience by displaying plungers and toilet brushes at the entrance.
Then that is a compromise that I am willing to make.
You sure?
Look at his face.
Look at your face. Yes, yes.
The two get a mutual kick out of seeing David so annoyed.
These mountaineering shoes that my boyfriend is wearing, looking like Oprah on a Thanksgiving Day hike. Incorrect. I'm sorry, what did you just say?
While the teasing leads to David calling Patrick his boyfriend, it also cements Patrick and Stevie's status as best friends-in-law.
I think my work here is done.
And what work is that exactly?
Number 7. David and Stevie sit on the car.
This might seem like a really stupid question, but, why are we here?
Because I felt like I owed it to Patrick to at least see the place where he wanted us to spend the rest of our lives.
David thought he had everything before moving to Schitt's Creek. Through people like Stevie and Patrick, though, he comes to realize how empty his lavish lifestyle was. Nevertheless, David finds himself torn between returning to New York or settling down in a quaint house with Patrick. Stevie puts things into perspective, telling David that his so-called friends from New York aren't even coming to his wedding. David has nothing to prove to them as he's found true happiness right there.
Why do you want to go back to a place that's done nothing but hurt your feelings?
Because I want those people to know that I'm not a joke. And that I've won.
This isn't just about David's relationship with Patrick, as Stevie can't imagine life without her best friend.
I don't want you to leave me here, okay?
While Stevie is usually the source of sarcasm, her words and tearful embrace come from a place of sincerity. If only the farm smell didn't spoil the moment.
Did you put on deodorant today?
Excuse me?
I know, it might be the farm.
It's the farm!
Okay. Oh, I smelled something.
Number 6. Stevie gets David an engagement present. Stevie is the first person David tells about his engagement to Patrick.
I'm so happy for you! Oh my god. When did this happen?
Last night.
The news overwhelms Stevie with happiness, but when she goes missing right before the debut of Cabaret, David fears that his big news may have driven her away. It turns out David was indirectly responsible for Stevie's disappearance, but he didn't send her into a panic. Arriving just in time for the show, Stevie reveals that she was picking up his engagement present, monogrammed towels.
Patrick asked for my blessing a few weeks ago, so I had them made. Would have been nice if he told me when it was happening. I literally could have picked these up any other day this week, but I will yell at him later.
When David asked Stevie for an extra towel in the first episode, we never expected such a touching payoff years later.
I have asked you thrice now for a towel so that I may wash this town off my body. Do you think I want to be here?
Stevie also shares that Patrick asked for her blessing to propose weeks in advance, which speaks volumes about how deep her bond with David is.
I assume you two will be moving in together, and I won't be there to give you towels when you need them, so...
Thank you. I appreciate the monogramming and the choice of thread color.
Number 5. David reassures Stevie.
You are not your aunt. From what I've heard, I wouldn't be friends with her, and I'm friends with you, so that's one major difference.
Stevie isn't known for showing her vulnerable side, and David isn't exactly the sentimental type either. When Stevie's great-aunt Maureen dies, however, David offers a helping hand, albeit with some awkward reluctance.
Well, if you need help...
I'd like you to finish that sentence.
Preparing to scatter the ashes in a parking lot, Stevie evaluates her own life and future. Stevie fears that she's on the same trajectory as her late great-aunt, destined to die alone and unfulfilled.
Well, theoretically, it's going to be all of us, although I'm hoping that when I pass, there'll be a little more fanfare.
My great-aunt worked at the motel. Front desk.
Of course, Maureen never had a friend like David, who assures Stevie that no matter what happens, her decisions will carve out an extraordinary path.
She made her decisions. And you are going to make yours, and they are going to be different. And they are going to be great. And if they're not, I'll be sure to scatter your ashes in a much nicer parking lot.
Nevertheless, Stevie isn't sure how to move out of Maureen's shadow after inheriting the motel. Just as David predicted, though, Stevie's decisions on how to run the motel would be different and great. Number 4. Roland stands up for Johnny. At first, Johnny is generally annoyed by Roland's sloppy demeanor, oblivious nature, and more obnoxious habits. While Roland is more welcoming, he does repeatedly force Johnny out of his comfort zone. Nevertheless, the two do come to develop a mutual friendship and respect for one another, even going into business together.
My family and I have been staying in a motel for the past 3 years. And I wouldn't trade our stay there for anything.
After a seemingly successful pitch, Roland overhears several potential investors making fun of Johnny.
First a video store, now a motel chain. What, he wants to reinvent the pager next?
Retrieving his briefcase, Roland gets real with Johnny's critics.
Do you people know what it took for Johnny Rose to come back and do this after being away for all that time? Shame on you.
Although Roland is usually played up as a doofus, this scene exposes a deeper side to him. It also shows how much he admires Johnny as a business partner and a friend.
The man's a legend.
It breaks his heart to see Johnny fail, but fortunately, they did manage to reach one person in the room. Number 3, dance in the barn.
I don't care what snarky remarks you kids are gonna make under your breath tonight. We are dancing as a family.
What is happening?
Who says that friendship and family can't be one and the same? The season 2 finale marks a significant turning point for the Roses. They not only begin to come together as a family, but also as friends who enjoy having each other around.
Do you know your father and I hold great affection for the two of you? It may not always be obvious, but
Just say it, Moira.
we love you both very much.
The Roses are joined by Stevie, Twyla, Ted, Mutt, Jocelyn, and Roland at Mutt's barn, uniting almost all the new friends they've made since arriving in Schitt's Creek. Surrounded by friends, the Roses wouldn't want to be anywhere else but here. It might not be the fanciest venue, but the Roses have come to regard Schitt's Creek as their home, for the time being. Precious love can blossom in the most unexpected places. Number 2, Roland and Jocelyn name their son after Moira. When Jocelyn goes into labor, Moira is there to escort her to the hospital. Granted, Jocelyn drives them there, but Moira remains by her side even with singles week underway.
Oh, don't start without me, you little frippet. You don't have the media training.
Okay, can you just please try to hurry up, because the last thing we want to do is stand up a room full of singles.
Oh, look, Jocelyn's pulling up to the hospital right now.
Wait, Jocelyn's driving?
Jocelyn assures Moira that Alexis can handle her duties, noting her growth over the past few years.
She is a hard worker, she is kind, and she is capable of so much more than people give her credit for.
Even during a stressful time, Jocelyn is a comforting friend. Moira finds that Alexis does have things covered, and upon returning to the hospital, she meets the newest addition to the Schitt family.
So we'd like you to say hello to Roland, Moira, Schitt.
Although Johnny can barely hide his laughter, the name is a truly loving gesture that demonstrates how much Moira means to the Schitts. It's a moment that finds just the right balance of awkward and sweet, naturally capping things off with Moira holding the baby.
Look at that, the two Moiras.
Take him, John. My hands are shaking.
One of my favorites is actually in the honorable mentions to this list, and that's just because the show is full of great supportive moments between friends. So let's take a look at those honorable mentions, and then we will name our number 1 friendship moment on Schitt's Creek. Spa weekend. David plus Stevie equals BFFs.
I think you're my best friend.
You think?
Well, I can't know for sure, because I'm realizing now that I don't think I've ever really had one.
Stevie at the wedding. The look on her face is simply the best.
'Cause you know you'll always be my baby, and we'll linger on. Time can erase a feeling that's strong. No way you're never gonna shake me, ooh, darling.
Twyla gives Alexis advice. With just a few words, Twyla sends Alexis on the right path.
I feel like now's the point where you normally have some surprisingly helpful advice.
I know you, Alexis, and you always make the right decision. Eventually.
Thanks, Twy.
Alexis and Twyla go to the bar, inspiring each other to take risks.
You're gonna be okay? Yeah. For sure. Of course. I'm just so glad I took a risk. Speaking of which,
guy over there has been staring at you all night.
Moira assures Stevie she'd be good in the play, the moment that Moira officially welcomes Stevie into the family.
You're very, very cool. And whether you set sail or stay put, that's not going to change. Now, why don't we take our Sally by the hand and we go out there and show those people everything she can be. If she were only more like you.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. The Roses find true friends in the Schitts. Before heading over to Mutt's barn party, Johnny and Moira plan to spend their anniversary at an upscale restaurant. While there, they encounter Bev and Dawn, a snobby couple they once called friends. The four are joined by Jocelyn and Roland, who help keep up the charade that the Roses are still well off.
Oh, we're in a rustic, ranch-style bungalow that...
It's very nice. Very nice. It's got plenty of parking and TV in every room.
Johnny can't hold his tongue, however, when Bev and Dawn mock Schittsville and its residents.
No, it was called Schittsville.
Schittsville!
And from the looks of it, the town was living up to its name.
After losing everything, the Roses received no help from Dawn, Bev, or anyone else from their old life.
You wrote us off, Dawn.
The Schitts, meanwhile, have helped the Roses get back on their feet while asking for virtually nothing in return.
Roland and Jocelyn here could not have been more generous with what little they have. They found us a place to live. They've offered us their truck whenever we've needed it.
It dawns on Johnny how fortunate he is to have the Schitts and what true friendship looks like.
And that town you passed through, it's not called Schittsville. It's called Schitt's Creek. And it's where we live.
When I first started watching Schitt's Creek, I was like, yeah, it's a funny show. But as the relationships and the characters started to develop, I realized it's different. And our number 1 pick on this list was one of those watershed moments for me. Were there any moments like that for you? Be sure to let us know in the comments, or come tell me on Twitter or Instagram at Rebecca Brayton, or on my YouTube channel. See ya!